everyone, this is Elena, and today I'm showing you how to do mirror stamping using the MISTI tool. So I'm using, as well besides the MISTI tool, I'm using mirror, I think it's called the stamp set mirrors from Paper Smooches. And what I'm doing first is I'm using the largest stamp. So these are like solid stamps. Like there's like, you can as well use the back of a larger stamp because usually the backs are kind of smooth and they're like solid. So I'm positioning that where I want it to be onto my MISTI, so I can have that kind of know where I need to put my paper or my other stamp that I'll do a mirror image from to stamp on. So first I wanted to make sure that my stamp, I did a lot of stamping the past several weeks. Actually, I recorded this video like almost a month ago and I'm just getting around editing it. So I just wanted to make sure that my stamp is nice and clean. So I cleaned that with Hero Arts stamp cleaner. I'm using Let's Roll stamp set from Clearly Besotted. So I'm kind of positioning that onto my MISTI grid transparency. And I know a lot of you have asked about where I got the transparencies. Actually, it's a downloadable file on the My Sweet Petunia website. And I just printed it on inkjet transparency as well. You can do it on laser printer, depending what kind of printer you have. So using that transparency as like a back for my stamp, it's very useful because the stamp sticks to it, so you can move it and you don't, and it kind of secure there. So what I'm doing here, I positioned that transparency to the edge and secured it with my magnets, and then I just closed the MISTI a few times, close the MISTI and stamp onto that mirror stamp, and then I repeated the process 3 times. And I use the VersaFine ink pad because it dries slower than other ink pads and it gives me a pretty good impression. Next, I put back my mouse pad into the MISTI, or you can use the black foam, and stamped and pressed with my fingers over that image. Next, I stamped the image, the regular image that's not mirror, onto white cardstock, the same Nina White, and I'm embossing it with clear embossing powder. So I'm just heating it up with my Wagner heat tool from Hero Arts, and you see how nicely those 2 hedgehogs came out. So you can even tell which one is the mirror stamp. That I was able to do that because I stamped that image a few times. So the ink was pretty wet, and because I used the MISTI, it was always at the same spot onto my mirror stamp. Next, I'm using some Copic markers, and I'll try to add all the colors that I'm using into this description. I think this one is R220, and then I'm using the 53, E53, 51, and E50, I believe. Actually, it's 1121, and I can't remember right now which ones I used, but I'll try to post them in the description and as well onto my blog. So I'm just coloring the hedgehogs, and then I'm using the darker browns. It's E35, E37, and E33. So, and I'm just going with lighter. I'm just not really paying much attention to the coloring because they're small images and I'm trying to do fast, and then I'm adding some highlights, well, more like dark lights to the hedgehog, and then I'll just blend it with a lighter color. So, and then I'll repeat the same process for the other hedgehog. That's actually the mirror stamp one. And I'm doing kind of first I'm doing the little highlights or dark lights, and then I'm starting to color my hedgehog, again going from the darkest to the lightest color. So since I don't have the dies for this stamp set, because it's pretty simple image, that's kind of how I base my decision whether to buy dies or not. So it's easy to cut them out. So next, after I'm done coloring, I'll be using my scissors to cut those out. So I'm kind of speeding it quite a bit here. So you're not bored watching me cut those. And as well, when you cut them, you can go so close that you lose that white line. So it's very kind of intricate cut, and it looks pretty nice. And then after I'm done cutting, I'm going with with black Copic marker, or you can do any other black marker. You will need to be careful if you use the Copic marker, the black, because it may bleed onto the other colors. So you can be very careful when you're coloring the edges, so it kind of gives nice and finished look to the images if you add that dark border around, if you have like closely trimmed image like these hedgehogs I have here. So I'm cutting that one out, and then just the fur, for the lack of better term. So I'm kind of quickly cutting that, making the little spiky things onto the hedgehog's back. So we're almost done here. So just the little pieces, and okay, we're done. So next I'm going, as I said previously, with my black Copic marker. I did have a Copic like multiliner, like brush multiliner, but I could not find it. So usually that one doesn't really bleed. So any brush or any other marker will do a good job for this. So, but if you decide to use the black Copic like I did, you'll need to be careful to pay attention to the bleeding. So next I'm using the Hero Arts Infinity square rectangle dies and little inker designs stitched hearts. So I'm trying to position that heart in the middle of that, not really in the center, in the upper kind of part, but I want it to be nicely lined up. So I'm using a grid cutting mat, and then I'm connecting the two dies using the microsport tape. So when I put it on my cardstock, it doesn't really move. So I just ran that through my die cutting machine. And then I'm going to use both these parts. I'm not going to really separate them. Kind of have that like hole in the middle. So next I'll be stamping the sentiment, hedgehogs and kisses. So I'm just positioning that and seeing where it should go. So then I'm using again the Versamark, a Versafine Onyx Black ink to stamp that one. So when working with this ink, you need to be careful because it dries slower, so to not touch over it and to not smear it. And next I'm taking my Wink of Stella clear glitter pen. I'm just coloring those hedgehogs to give them a little bit sparkle. Next I'm having a red card base. So I just when I folded this, I noticed that the back end was shorter because probably I've cut strip before for some other card. So I have that panel, and then I'm scoring another card base. So I have that white panel, and then I die cut the same heart from a red fun foam or craft foam to give a little bit dimension. And then I'm using fast fuse, which is basically the same as the Tombow extreme glue adhesive, to adhere that foam heart. So I cut it from red to give a little bit dimension, a little bit more interest. So next I'm adding some Doodlebug enamel hearts, and I'm just adhering the hedgehogs to finish up my card. So that's, with this we're finishing our card. So, and you can see the sparkle. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get updates on all the new videos coming up. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye!